the review for the Algebra 2 test on data displays and statistics. I will be using my calculator. If you have Desmos, you need to know how to work that. The commands for Desmos, and I'll just write them over here on the side, are median, to find the median. And then you do parenthesis, bracket, type all your data in with commas. The quartiles, Q1 and Q3. After the first bracket, you do a 1 or comma 3. That'll get you Q1 and Q3. The mean. And then standard deviation, you need to type in ST DEVP, and that'll get you the standard deviation. So these are all the Desmos commands. I'm going to be using the TI 83, 84, 80, whatever. Okay, so I'm going to type all my data in here, hopefully, if I can get this to zoom in. I'm going to type all my data in L1 and L2. If you're in Mrs. Voigt's class, some of the kids ask me, like, what happens if you plug it into L2? And you can use L1 and L2 kind of at the same time and just do one at a time. Okay, I guess I'm not zooming in. It will probably make your life a little bit easier if you do that, because you will already kind of have all the data typed in. So that's kind of what I'm going to do, and then just show you how to switch out L1 and L2 when you're ready to find all the info. So remember, you're going to do stat and then edit. So in L1, I'm going to type my Honolulu info. So this will take a little bit. So you should be doing the same. Oops. And 73.2. So one thing is, I know that there are 12 pieces of information, so it's nice to know that I filled out 12 of them. That's kind of a good way to check. I'm going to type my Phoenix information in L2. Oops. 76.5. 85.8. 0.2. 83. Okay, and they both have 12 pieces of information, so that's good. All right, so for Honolulu, I'm going to find my 5-number summary. That's the first 5 things here. So stat, over to calc, 1 variable statistics, and I want L1, so I am good here, but when I want L2, I need to change it. So for L1, I have my 5-number summary, and that goes right in this first thing. So the minimum was 71.8. Oops, I don't have the pen up. The max was 79.3. Reading these off my calculator, like Q1 is right there, 72.85. The median is right there, 75.65. And Q3, 78.25. Okay. The range is the max minus the min. So if you do the max, that's these two here, 79.3, subtract 71.8. The range is 7.5. IQR is Q3, minus Q1. So 78.25 minus 72.85, which is 5.4. So that's the IQR. So there are lots of questions in Ms. Vogt's class, at least, about how to find the outliers. So the outliers, the formula for that, and yes, you need to know it, is lower outliers will be Q1 minus 1.5 IQR, and upper outliers will be plus 1.5 IQR. So finding the IQR is pretty crucial. So 5.4 is my IQR. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take 5.4 times 1.5 to get my 1.5 IQR is 8.1. And so now I need to take the Q1. Q1 is 72.85 and subtract 8.1. And when you do that, you get 64.75. And now you need to ask yourself, is there anything lower than 64.75 in my table for Honolulu? And the answer is no. Okay, so there are no lower outliers. I'm going to do the same process for the upper outliers. So I take Q3 and add 8.1. When you do that, you get 86.3. And then you need to look, are there any temperatures that are above that? And the answer again is no. So this one has no outliers. I'm going to do the same stuff for Phoenix. Remember, I typed that in L2. So stat, calc, one variable statistics. But now I need to tell it to do it for L2. So you need to give it that command, and that's right there. And now it's done it for L2. And you'll notice all my numbers are different. So I can fill those in again. My minimum is 51.6. And my maximum was 91. Okay, off my calculator, my Q1 is 57.85. My median was 70.235. And my Q3 was 84.65. Range is max minus min, so 91 minus 51.6, and you get 39.4. IQR is Q3 minus Q1, so 84.65 minus 57.85 equals 27.25. And now we're going to do the IQR stuff again. So first I'm going to take my 27.25 and I'm going to multiply by 1.5 to get my 1.5 IQR. 27.25 times 1.5. So that's 40.875. So now, 1.5 IQR equals 40.875. So now I need to take Q1, and in this case it's 57.85, and subtract this number. And I get 16.525. And were there any temperatures lower than 16 degrees? There were not. And then Q3, 84.65. And then I need to add that 40.875. And I can already see this is going to be bigger than 91. So 125.5, something like that, 525. And there were none of them more than that because the maximum was 91. So again, there are no outliers. Then it asks you to draw two box and whisker plots. So you need to use the same scale. Remember, you use your 5-number summary. The 3 middle dots are your box. And the min and the max are your whiskers. So you need to label it. So I'm going to label this one Honolulu, and maybe I'll draw one beneath. You could draw them both on top too if you write a little smaller than I do. So for Honolulu, my minimum was like 71.8, so I'm just estimating. Remember, we don't draw exactly on the line. My maximum was 79.3. And then my Q1 was 72.8. My median was 75 point something, and my Q3 was 78 point something. And then these 3 middle ones make your box, and the outside 2 make your whiskers. For Phoenix, my minimum was 51.6. My Q1 was 57.4. My median, which is technically your Q2, 70.2. My Q3 was 84.6. And my maximum was 91. So this one has a much bigger box in the middle. And the whiskers go out to here. All right, number 2, find the numbers of pets in this class, or the numbers of pets shown in this class are on the table. So I typed this in my calculator already in L1. So I'm going to use this to help me find the mean. And I got 1.875 for the mean. So 1.875 for the median. And that should be in my calculator. The median was 2. And then the mode. So I waited until I made a frequency table to find the mode because that I thought would help me. Remember, this isn't a grouped frequency table. This is just a frequency table. So all the numbers are going to be listed on the side. They are not in groups, not 0 to 1, 2 to 3, and 4 plus, but just one at a time. A grouped frequency table, you would make groups. So I counted these, and I found that just counting them was the easiest. So if you just go through, and I kind of crossed them off as I went, I found 7 zeros. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ones, I also found 7, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ones. Twos, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 twos. Threes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the fours will be what's left. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 fours. So now finding the mode is easy because I can see in my frequency table that 0, 1, and 2 are all modes. You can have more than one mode. You could have no mode. You can just have one. So which is the best way to display this? A stem and leaf or a histogram? A stem and leaf is a bad choice for this one because there's nothing to make a stem and a leaf out of. All the digits are one number. So one unit, just the ones. So there's no point in making a stem and leaf, and you've already made the frequency table, and turning a frequency table into a histogram is kind of like the next step. So histogram should be your choice. Remember, histograms have bars that all touch each other. It is not a bar graph. So this would be my 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is my number of pets. And along this axis is my frequency. How often does it happen? I need to go up to at least 7. So there was 7 for 0, 7 for 1, 7 for 2, and then 5. So I didn't do a good job of that one. And then 6. And I didn't do perfect, so this should be 6. But you get the picture, I think. All right, so the data below represents people at a birthday party for Miss Joyce. Make a stem and leaf plot. So when I'm doing this, I am thinking most of these ages are double digits and they range from the 20s to the 60s. So I'm going to give my key. Remember, we talked about this is important, that if I have 2 lines 0, that would equal 20. I meant to fit that all in that little box, but I didn't. So my stem is going to be here and my leaf will be here. When you make a stem and leaf plot, you need to keep them in order. So like these will be my 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. I believe there's only one 20, so 29 will be easy. Put that here. But for 30s, I have 37, 38, 32, 33, 30, all those. So for my 30s, I need to order them. So 30 would be my first one. 32 would be next. Then 33. Then 37. And then 38. So I cross mine off as I go to make my life easier. For 40s, I have a bunch of them. So I think 40 is the smallest. There's no 41, but there's a 42. 2 45s. So 45, Oops, that should be a 5, 2 45s, and a 46. That's my biggest 40. For 50s, I have 54, 56, 58, 55, so 54. Let's see, there's a 55, there's a 56, and a 58. And then for 60s, I have 61, 2 64s, and a 68. Okay, this is my stem and leaf plot. How old do you think Miss Joyce is and why? So I kind of used a couple different points. The mean, and I calculated it on my calculator just to check, was 47. And then the median, which is pretty easy to find in a stem and leaf plot because now they're all in order. So you can kind of crisscross back and forth, you know, cross off 29 and 68 and go till you find the middle. The mean was 45. And so I would say that I think that Ms. Joyce is in her mid 40s. Approximately 45, because that is really close to the median and the mean age. Another similar, slightly different, is making a frequency table. So what I would do on this one, again, is just cross these off as I go. So 1.0 would go here. I'm going to skip that because that takes a lot of time, but you should go through and do this and make sure that you can come up with a frequency table for this. Oops, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And then one thing that I do when I'm done is I count my data points here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times 4 should be 28. And just double check and make sure that I have all of them here. So when this is a grouped frequency table, so I talked earlier about the differences, this would be a grouped frequency table because we have a range. Again, in a histogram, the bars should all touch. So I'm going to label this would be 0 to 1, 1.1 to 2, 2.1 to 3, and then 3.1 to 4. So technically, don't need that one. And then I have 4, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 13. So 4. The next one would be a little bit lower than that, 3. Then 8, and my last one is 13. So trying to be accurate here. I can't be very accurate on my Chromebook, but you can do a much better job on your paper. You could use a ruler. Just be neat.